All fine? All good? The next minyan in a few minutes. Thank you so much. Okay, it's good to be back. I'm covering today for Rabbi Yazankot, that is out of town for a day, basically. Lighthouse Torah Project, dedicated לעילוי נשמת דבורה פייגה בת שמואל, רפואה שלמה of Ora Devora bat Rivka. So we'll give a different type of class for the next minyan, but we'll do something different for this particular minyan. And I'll keep it short and sweet because the next minyan will be coming in soon. Amen. We just finished reading the first aliyah of Perasha Bechukotai. Perasha Bechukotai is a very famous Perasha that we always read it before the celebration of Shavuot. Perasha Bechukotai contains a lot of blessings, a lot of berachot, but later on in the Perasha, we come across 49 tohachot, 49 warnings that the Torah gives to Am Israel in the event that Haz v'Shalom, we're not going to follow the ways of the Torah. And at the end of the day, the warnings, and I like to say the word warnings rather than saying the word curses, because the Torah doesn't give curses, Haz v'Shalom. The Torah only illustrates the consequences that happens to Am Israel whenever we try to change our ways, our tradition, and instead of connecting with Hashem, with the Torah, God forbid we do the opposite. And the Pasuk writes, Im bechukotai telechu, be'ed mizvotai tishmeru, ba'asitem otam. If you will walk in my statutes, in my decrees, and you will observe my mitzvot, and you will observe them. What's the difference? Rashi explains that there are 3 different messages mentioned in this particular pasuk. And I'll try to synchronize them accordingly. Hukot, Hukim, represents to mitzvot from our Torah that don't really have a meaning, or don't really have a reasoning rather. Meanings they do have, but the reasoning, that's the correct word. I'll share with you 3 basic mitzvot. Mitzvah number 1, prohibition of mixing meat and dairy. Basar behalav. Basar by itself permissible. Dairy by itself permissible. We mix them, taref. Why? Although we have reasons, but why there is such a mitzvah? Another mitzvah, sha'atnes. Sha'atnes, wool and linen. Wool by itself permissible. Linen by itself permissible. You mix them, now it becomes taref garment. Another one, for example, para aduma, the red heifer, the red cow, purifies the impure and impurifies the pure. These are the concept of hukim. Mizvotai refers to 2 different levels. Tishmeru, ba'asitem. Ba'asitem refers to the positive commandments of the Torah. For example, observing Shabbat. For example, not eating certain types of animals. For example, doing Berit Milah. That's the concept of asiyah, performance. Tishmeru is the concept of lo ta'aseh, the negative commandments of the Torah. Meaning to say, the Torah is telling us 3 messages. It's not only important that a person does mitzvot, but a person cannot do averot. Because if a person does mitzvot, and does averot, that creates a spiritual short circuit in the neshama of the person. It's like I said the other day, I asked someone, do you eat kasher? Yes, at home. So what does it mean? When a person tells you this, that they eat kasher at home, but outside, what do they eat? Not kasher. And is that proper? The answer is not. Why not? Because we understand that the concept of kosher food is not something only health matters. There is a godly and a spiritual benefit and detriment when a person does not eat kasher. The benefit is when it's kasher, and the detriment is when we don't eat kasher. But interesting enough, the pasuk says, "Im bechukotai telechu." The Torah uses a key word, the word telechu. What's the root word of the word telechu? Lalechet. Lalechet means to walk. So what is the Torah is telling us? That the way that we can truly determine if the person is walking in the footsteps of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in the footsteps of the Torah, is davka when we follow the Torah even when we don't understand. For example, it makes sense not to kill. Correct? It makes sense not to murder. It makes sense to honor parents. It makes sense to, to give charity. It makes sense. Interesting enough, these mitzvot that the Torah is referring to are good mitzvot and an important mitzvot. But you know what this parasha is telling us? It's like a person gives charity and the person is a wealthy person. Does it take effort for a wealthy person to give charity? Most likely not. Because since you're wealthy, you are able to give. But when a person lives from paycheck to paycheck, or a person has very limited income or very limited resources, and this person gives charity, is showing a tremendous amount of emunah, a tremendous amount of faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And guess what? The mitzvah of giving charity is not based on quantity, but on quality. On the quality of how the person gives the charity. You give it with a smile, you give it before they ask you give it quietly, you give it without fanfare. It's a different level of giving charity, the way the Rambam mentions the different levels of charity. So here the Torah is telling us, Rashi, a fascinating hidush, and it says, I already have the same pasuk that's telling me, observe the mitzvot. Why the Torah opens the parasha, Chukotai? Short answer, Rashi says, Shetehiyu amelim bat-Torah. A Jew must learn Torah. What is Rashi trying to tell us? That is impossible for a person to be able to serve Hashem properly without Torah learning. Meaning to say that only through learning the person knows how to do the mitzvot, the reasoning of the mitzvot, the purpose of the mitzvot, how to do a mitzvah. You think that giving charity means just giving charity? Yes, the ultimate action is the giving. But I ask you a question. How do you give charity? What are the guidelines of giving charity? Number one, don't embarrass the recipient. That's why the Rambam says, it is better when the person gives without the recipient knowing where the money is coming from. Or the giver doesn't know where the money is going to. This way you minimize embarrassment in the person. Another level, Rambam says, give it with a smile. Another level says, give before they ask you. The worst level is to give charity after they ask us with a long face. That is only in the mitzvah of charity. Let's bring another mitzvah. The mitzvah of honoring parents. How many levels or how many parameters are there when it comes to honoring parents? Not to sit in their seat, not to raise their voice, your voice against them. When they come into the room, you stand up. You don't mistreat them verbally. You dress them, you feed them, you provide for them, you support them. In the outside world, honoring a parent means giving a hug and a kiss every day and calling your mother 3 times a day. Right? But according to the Torah, it's a much higher level. And the Torah gives a whole list of benefits. And Rashi and the Torah gives, and I'll finish with this sentence, and we'll move right away to the next class. Benatati shalom ba'ares. I'll give you peace in the land of Israel. Although the Torah already gave us different levels of blessings, rain, abundance in the field, abundance for parnasah, etc., I'll give you peace. And Rashi says, Im en shalom en kelum. Why the Torah writes, I give you peace? Because a person that does not have peace has nothing. You can have food to eat, but peace enables us to eat better, to enjoy the food, to celebrate life, etc. And that's why the Pasuk says, Benatati shalom ba'ares, she'ashalom shakul keneged hakol, because peace is comparable to every single beracha that a person can receive in their life. And that's why so much effort we make to the attribute of peace. At this moment, I will pause this class and I'm moving to the regular class. So if you want to pause a minute for those watching, we'll be back in 1 minute.